In beautiful Sweden, between fjords and nature, there was a small indie studio that developed 3 games for different PlayStation systems between 2010 and 2012. The studio's name? Bearded Ladies Consulting. But after 2012, things went quiet. In 2018, now going by the Bearded Ladies without consulting in the name but still in the logo, they hit the road again. In the same year, a tactical XCOM-style game based on the Mutant Year Zero license was announced, Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden. It was released right before the end of 2018 in December. Mutant Year Zero was quite a success, with estimated development cost well below 5 million and total gross revenue of around 25 million, including the DLC and the Nintendo Switch port, which launched in June 2019 alongside Seeds of Evil. Those were impressive numbers. Reviews were constantly positive and players praised the atmosphere and the stealth-based gameplay. It wasn't an XCOM clone, it wasn't an XCOM style hero battler. It was something unique, something we hadn't played before. Everything was great, the Bearded Ladies had become indie darlings and the game was a success. Everyone was hyped for the next game from this little team in Sweden. What could be the studio's next masterpiece? But then what was that? Corruption 2029 launched exclusively on the Epic Games Store, which already rubbed a lot of gamers the wrong way. But the game itself, what even was it? It was basically Mutant Year Zero just without the Mutant Year Zero license, set in a post-apocalyptic world somewhere between XCOM and Fallout, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but somehow in every way the game felt smaller, shorter and less polished than Mutant Year Zero. If we are being blunt, you could say Corruption felt like a playable beta version of Mutant Year Zero set in an alternate universe. Sure, it only cost $19.99, but it also only had about as much content as an DLC. What happens here? No one really knew. Corruption came and went, and no one talked about it anymore. Then Miasma Chronicles was announced, a spiritual successor to Mutant Year Zero. Corruption was already forgotten. Everyone wanted a real RPG with Mutant Year Zero style mechanics, set in a new, carefully built world. Everyone wanted this game. The hype was back, small but real. And finally, in May 2023 it was time. The game felt good, it kept most of its promises, but it was way too short for an RPG. Maybe players were already familiar with the stealth mechanics from Mutant Year Zero. Some of them finished Miasma Chronicles even faster than Mutant Year Zero. The game underperformed, as people like to say when they do not want to call it a flop. Just to be complete, Corruption 2029 was quietly released on Steam on August 29, 2024 for €10 as the regular price. Since then, silent. Nothing new from the Bearded Ladies. How could this happen? Mutant Year Zero was good. Corruption 2029 felt like a step backward. Miasma Chronicles was technically more advanced, but once again way too short. But was it really like that? What was the criticism of Corruption 2029? Wasn't it just Mutant Year Zero already did that, only better? How would Corruption 2029 have been received if Mutant Year Zero never existed? What if Corruption 2029 feels like a beta version of Mutant Year Zero because it is a beta version of Mutant Year Zero? What if the Bearded Ladies had developed Corruption 2029, financed maybe by EU grants and their own money, and that's got the attention of a publisher? What if someone said, hey, great stuff, let us get your license and you start again from scratch? What if they then made Mutant Year Zero and later Seeds of Evil DLC? What if Epic reached out afterwards and they signed an exclusive deal for the next game? What if Corruption 2029, its cost already covered by the Mutant Year Zero production budget, was then quickly thrown together, a few missions stretched across 2 maps, then a few leftovers that didn't fit into Mutant Year Zero or Seeds of Evil were added on top. Tied it up, put a stamp on it, ship it. In that case, would that make Corruption 2029 the most profitable game from the bearded ladies? If you compare cost versus revenue? Is there a better explanation for why Corruption 2029 turned out the way it did? We will never know, but the thought is free. My recommendation for maximum fun: if you haven't played Mutant Year Zero yet, play Corruption 2029 first, then Mutant Year Zero, then Miasma Chronicles. That way you will enjoy every game. Please like and subscribe to the channel and leave me a comment. It doesn't cost you anything, but it helps the channel to grow.